Hi, this is Graham Russell from Air Supply, and I'd like to wish everyone listening a great, happy Christmas this year.
This is Paul O'Neill from the Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Hi everybody, it's Kristen Chenoweth here.
Hey, I'm Howie D.
I'm AJ.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Nick.
And we're the Backstreet Boys.
Hi, this is Gloria Estefan from Miami Sound Machine.
You're listening to the Sounds of Christmas
podcast.
Hi, I'm Ken Kessler, and welcome to the Sounds of Christmas podcast. If you're new to this podcast, I want to start by saying thanks for joining us. If you're not new, welcome back. Either way, I'm glad you're here. Now, to avoid any confusion, I want to start off by saying there won't be any music played here. This is a place for conversation. I'll talk about Christmas music and some related topics, sometimes by myself and sometimes with guests. If you're looking for music, just go to soundsofchristmas.com and click on the tree or the player on the front page or on the Listen Now page. We play the best variety of Christmas music all year long. Well, except in October, when we play the best variety of Halloween music. I'm very happy, excited, and full of the word wow to welcome back musician, producer, songwriter, award-winning composer, Tommee Profitt. Hi, Tommee. Thanks for coming back.
Hey, man. Thanks so much for having me.
We talked about your studio album, The Birth of a King, and the 15-year journey it took to get there the last time you were here, and I'll post a link to that down in the show notes. Since then, you have been working on bringing that project to the stage. How did that happen?
Man, a miracle of God, I'll tell you that much. That was kind of a dream of mine all along, but I just didn't think it'd be possible. Everyone was like, there's no way you could pull together, all 20 artists and 50-piece orchestra. And I wanted like 100-person choir live. And I don't even really do live shows, right? I just sit in my studio these days in my sweatpants and make music. I'm like, I don't sell tickets. And man, we just went for it. I just felt like it was a thing that God opened the door for and was asking me to do. And I don't know why, but I just kind of went for it. And yeah, it was a crazy thing. We lined it all up. We went on sale and it sold out in less than 24 hours. And it was one of the best nights of my life.
You had, I think you said 20 guest artists, a 60-piece orchestra, 100-person choir. That must have been some kind of magic to get all of that orchestrated to be able to do this.
Yeah, it took almost a year and a half just to set it up, to organize it all, to line it up. And yeah, it was crazy. It was so much work, so hard, but so worth it and so fun. And we recorded, and filmed the whole thing. And, that's kind of a nerve-wracking thing because, the studio record was kind of a baby passion project of mine that I never wanted to touch, and I was like, man, if we do it live, you don't really know what you're going to have until you do it and you record it and then you look at it all after, right? But man, the team, the crew that filmed it and recorded it, they just did such a good job, and it just turned out so well. It's my favorite project I've ever been a part of.
I want to mention, I haven't mentioned the title yet. It's The Birth of a King live in concert. And the whole thing is on your YouTube channel. And just in the first week, over 150,000 views. And that's not bad on its own, but it's not just a song or a podcast episode or something like that. It's almost an hour and a half of Christmas music in concert, and over 150,000 people have watched it in the first week in November.
Yeah, I mean, I'm blown away so far. The feedback has been beyond my wildest dreams. I mean, I'm very thankful that, first of all, that we were able to do it, and that, we were able to record it and that it turned out so well. But just the fact that people are resonating with it and finding it and watching it. I didn't know what to expect either. I usually post short, 3-minute songs on my YouTube channel. I've never posted an hour and a half live thing ever. So I just didn't know what to expect. But yeah, it seems like it's doing a thing, which is really exciting.
Now, it opens with O Come, O Come, Emmanuel. That was the opening song on the original album, followed by We Three Kings, which was also next on the original. On this live one, it's a duet with Colton Dixon and Holland. On the original, it was with We the Kingdom, and I'm guessing that was a scheduling thing, and you probably ran into that tons of times trying to put this together.
Yeah, that was one of the difficulties. I'm friends with all those guys, and they just, a lot of people go and they have tours booked for Christmas, and they have Christmas albums, and they have things. And so that was a concern, who would be available, and willing to do this. And my buddy Colton Dixon is a good friend of mine. He just has an amazing voice. And I instantly, when We the Kingdom wasn't available, I very quickly, like, who I choose, like, vocalist is very intentional and very important, right? Voices to match the song, as well as that will go together. And Colton and Holly are two of the best vocalists I'd ever worked with in my life. And I just had chills thinking about them singing that together. And luckily both of them were available and excited, and we did it. And it was such a blast.
One of the many things that I really love about this project and the artists that participated in it is that most, if not all of them, love Christmas music enough that they've all released stuff on their own. We the Kingdom just put out a Christmas single. Colton Dixon did that a few weeks ago. Alan just put out a Christmas album. And I don't imagine that this was the criteria used, but it seems like quite a coincidence.
Yeah, it's a busy time to fit in all of the projects for everybody, and so here I am on the side, kind of stepping in, being like, hey, amidst all of your own Christmas plans, could you also be a part of mine? It's a collaborative thing, and it's an invitation. And I realize that it's, a lot to sometimes add too many things to anyone's plate, but man, luckily just everyone is really excited to be a part of this thing. And yeah, it's going well. I think it was really fun, and we're all excited to, maybe continue to do this live thing.
Jordan Smith. Wow. Mary, did you know he does that in this live concert album? He did it on the original album. It's a song he did in the finale of The Voice that was almost 10 years ago. And by the way, that performance back in 2015 not only won him the season, but it knocked Adele's song Hello off #1 on iTunes. And it's just amazing. It's hard to pick a standout because every song is just spectacular. But wow, does he bring it?
He does. And what's crazy? I don't know if I shared this story before, but I had no idea. I didn't watch The Voice, so I had no idea that was like his song that he did on the show, and it was a big fan favorite. And I didn't know that story. So when I just asked him to sing it, I just had the idea of him singing that, thinking it would be amazing. And he came to the studio, and he was like, hey, this is so cool. My fans are going to love that I have a new version of this. And I was like, oh, you've done this before? And he's like, yeah, you didn't know that? This is like my song. I was like, what? So it was kind of a perfect coincidence. And it's really exciting to just see it breathe a new life into this, this song, a new version for him, and doing it live. He was definitely a talked about moment. He's just blowing everyone away. We posted a clip of him singing that 3 days ago on TikTok, and it has 3.5 million views. Like, just people are freaking out over his voice. It's so insane. And that's an honor, like that performance, to get to do that. Even if we only got to do it once, that would have been one of the biggest honors in my life. It was so fun to do that.
Really, truly amazing performances all around. Crowder, Sarah Reeves, Nicole Serrano. The choir is amazing. And I don't want to spoil this for anybody and go track by track, although I kind of do. But what would you want people to know about this record, this video, beyond what we've already talked about?
Well, I would say two things. One, I've just never been a fan of live records in the past. Like, I've always preferred studio versions of everything, whatever it was. And for some reason, I prefer this live version over the original studio record. I think it sounds better. I think it sounds bigger. It's more epic. It just feels so powerful. It just feels different. And, we worked for almost a year on it after we recorded it, just to like really get it to sound really good. And so that's one thing, is like, I'm just excited, with how it turned out. But on top of that, some of the artists are known, some of their names are known. Some of the artists are not that known, but all of them are equally absolutely insane. Some of the best singers in the world. And that's one of the things I love about it, is that this project could introduce people to new voices, where even if you go in and you're like, oh, I've never heard of this person, then you listen to their song and you're like, who is that? That is one of the best performances I've ever heard in my life. Like, sometimes it's not all about the name, right? Sometimes the names couldn't perform the songs like this. It's really about the voice and the talent and the gift. And like, that's more important to me as far as when I was coordinating the vocalists with the songs. Like, it's not about just getting a name that's recognized. It's about that person being able to deliver what they have. And I think most people will see that when they watch it.
And for somebody like me who loves Christmas music so much, to find all of these amazing voices, some of which I didn't know, but then I'd look them up and see, oh, they have their own Christmas music too, and it introduced me to. I mean, it's ripples in a pond. It just keeps going and going. It's just amazing. And now
totally.
You're getting ready to do it again, this time at the Grand Ole Opry.
I know. That's insane. I don't know what's happening or what we're doing. Yeah, it's really exciting. Last year it just sold out really quickly, and it was kind of a proof of concept, I guess. And, now that we're kind of launching this live thing, the Birth of a King is kind of transitioning from a studio brand to a live brand, in a show. And I don't know where that'll go. I don't know what it'll mean. I don't know beyond this year yet, but doing it at the Opry is just a dream that I just didn't even know I had. I never dreamed it because I didn't think, it just didn't even feel like it was inside the realm of possibility. You know what I mean? It was beyond what I felt like I could dream big enough. And so, yeah, it's crazy. It's much bigger, much more epic. It's going to be such a blast. I can't wait.
Is there a plan? And you may not be able to tell me, is there a plan to record this one as well?
We're not recording or filming anything this year. It's just the performance. We kind of did that last year. I mean, my whole job, 12 months a year would become Birth of a King if we recorded every year,
Right. And it's just amazing to think that this is at the Grand Ole Opry. I remember sometime in the last month or so, you posted a picture of you and your son on the stage.
Yeah.
And what an amazing, special moment that must have been.
Yeah, that was cool. We did, a walkthrough with their team, and they showed me around looking at, the backstage and all the stuff, and I had my kids there, and, it's cool to just tell them like, hey guys, this is like really special. This is a big deal. And they're just asking questions about it. That's what I think. I wrote that on the post, my son, they were like, is this like a dream of yours come true? And I'm like, honestly, no, it's beyond. I never dreamed it because I just didn't think it was just not even on my radar that it would ever happen. So it's a really special thing. And I'm excited too. Honestly, you asked if we were recording this year. I'm kind of excited that we're not, because I'm not going to have to be in such a focused producer mode. Like, we're capturing this, and thinking through all of that. I get to just kind of enjoy the moment and be present and do the performance. That's going to be a really special night.
Yeah. And one of the things that I noticed in listening to just listening to the tracks without watching it, just listening to it streaming, the energy is through the roof. With these songs, you can just feel it. And that's one of the things in live performances that you hope for, that you get that kind of energy, but both from the performers and the audience giving it back to them. It's incredible. Yeah.
It's so much more energetic live. We have a band, we have a full orchestra, that big choir. When you're there, it's almost visually as epic as it sounds, because there's, I think, I'm trying to confirm this. I think we might be cramming more people on the Opry stage than they've ever had before.
Wow.
Because this year we're doing a 200 person choir. And so we have, there's going to be 270 people on stage at all times, and we could barely fit it. We're trying to make it work now. We're moving things around to make it fit and make it work. And so visually, it's like really stunning and epic, just as much as it is powerfully sounding,
Any major, even minor differences that you know of for this performance versus the album that just came out?
Nothing major. I mean, we're moving the song order around a little bit. We have some new merch. We've printed a book, with all the artists and the order and all this stuff. Like, it's definitely just more. It almost feels like this is the first public year. Like last year was the beta, right? Like last year
Right.
was the trial run. It was a smaller venue, closed audience, sold out in a day. And it was like, we're here, we're recording it, we're going to do this thing. And then next year, we're going to launch and go big and go live into the public. And this year feels like now we've opened it up for everybody. And, more people are coming, and we'll just see. Yeah, we'll see what happens and how it grows from here.
I don't know if you've thought about this, and I'm not trying to give you more work to do, but this seems like the perfect kind of thing for a tour, if it was possible to manage this many people, to bring this
I know.
to lots of places all over, would be amazing. I don't know if that's on your radar at all, or if you're just thinking that's a stupid idea. I can't believe you said that.
No, it's not a stupid idea. That's been said by a lot of people. The conversations are kind of, just loose conversations of what does this look like? Is it always one night in Nashville every year? And it's, that when we did it last year, 50% of the room was from out of state. They traveled to the show from California and Texas and Washington and New York and Florida, like everywhere. This year, same, several people from out of the country. They're flying in like a destination thing, one night. Does it stay that, or do we try to do multiple cities? I'm aware of the fact that I'm at the mercy of hundreds of people saying yes, not just me. Like, I would love to do it. I'm down. I would do this for 10 years, but it's like, I can't do it on my own. That's for sure. This is a team effort. And if everyone's down, and as much as people want to do, like, it'd be fun to see where this could go, down the road. But I don't know. I honestly don't know yet what's even going to look like next year.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine the logistics of trying to, for want of a better term, pack this up on a bus and take it down the road.
I know.
Even if it was
Well,
like a
artist
10-city tour, it'd be.
Yeah. And, each city usually has an orchestra and a choir that, that's how they do those big shows. They have a different choir from that location. But even just 20 artists and their teams, I mean, that alone is kind of crazy. Most shows, it's a few artists maybe, but, when you have 20 artists and a big orchestra and the choir, I mean, it's a pretty insane show to just pull together, and logistically it's a nightmare. But I have a great team. I have great people that are helping with all that stuff.
Yeah, I remember last year when I heard about it, and Christmas time, running the Sounds of Christmas station is like 2.5 full-time jobs, so it was probably a week after you had announced it when I finally heard about it, and I thought, oh, that would be cool. And too late, it's sold out. And and this year, and I was looking on it, and I was like, well, there's a single seat here, and there's a single seat over there, so I could take my wife and I could tell her, okay, you sit over there, and I'll catch up with you in a couple hours. So really, you got to move fast to get this, and that's amazing for a venue like the Grand Ole Opry. And there's a good chance by the time this episode airs that it will be sold out.
I mean, that'd be crazy. Yeah, we don't know, but it's doing well. It's picking up, and we're getting close. So yeah, it's exciting, man. It's all just crazy to me. I'm just just kind of shocked and grateful, and I'm just kind of going along for the ride.
For anybody who hasn't heard about either the studio album or this live in concert album, what would you tell them about it to sort of explain it to them?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. It was kind of a 15-year dream of mine. And when I finally got to do it in 2020, and I viewed it like a movie soundtrack a little bit. It's not a movie score, like, just instrumental, obviously, but it's very cinematic, and it's very much like if they were to make a Lord of the Rings style movie with like grand landscaping, you know what I mean? And the colors, like all that stuff. Like if they were to make a movie like that about the story of Christmas and the birth of Jesus, like that's kind of what I wanted that's what I was thinking about and focusing on when I made the project. So all the arrangements are just very emotional and strings and piano, and then they grow big and dynamic singers on every song. I kind of took all of the, traditional Christmas carols like Silent Night, Oh Holy Night, What Child Is This, Away in a Manger, Joy of the World, like all those songs, and then made new arrangements of them, changing some of them more than others, some of them keeping kind of, pretty original, but adding choruses or, just doing them a little different, putting a spin on it. Some of them I flipped completely and just took the lyrics and made a new song essentially. But there's just familiarity in it, too. And yeah, I just feel like it needed an epic, the synopsis of the Christmas story is so epic in and of itself. Like angels greeting a king who's coming to save the entire world. Like that's so epic. Like you can't write something more epic than that. You know what I mean? Even if people don't believe that story, like you watch Lord of the Rings, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just a powerful story. So like, I wanted it to be for everybody, you know what I mean? And just to this powerful story. And then they hear and like, whoa, what's in this music? What's in this? Like, what is this? Like, and just you can feel something in it, which is really, really awesome.
Yeah, it truly is. A lot of the time for the Sounds of Christmas station, I shy away from music that is too religious, at least early on, because there's a lot of office listening and that gets tricky and everything. But I feel like The Birth of the King goes beyond that. It's not evangelical. It is just like you were saying, it's just epic. And the music is just so powerful. It really, it's hard to, it's not background music because it demands your attention and it's just incredible. I'm going to make sure to put the links in the show notes. So not just for getting the album, but also the video that's on your YouTube channel so people can see the show from last year. But it's epic is a great word for it.
Well, thank you, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, it's just a beautiful story. And I think a lot more people are open to, I mean, everyone knows the manger scene, you know what I mean? Everybody in the entire country, like knows like the manger scene. And so it's like, they're open to it and hearing about it and hearing powerful versions of it or new versions of it is, at Christmas time, is you kind of have you can sneak in more of that stuff, you know what I mean? But my goal originally was I have a lot of 20-year-old video game players that listen to my music normally. But then I also have my mother-in-law who has a furniture shop in Michigan, right? And she's, has her audience is 60, 70-year-olds, right? So I'm like, what can I do to bridge the gap where like a 20-year-old gamer would want to put this on and a 65-year-old, lady in Michigan buying furniture at a store would enjoy listening to it in the store speakers. How could I bridge that gap? And so I was trying to make something that would kind of appeal to like that whole audience, not just one specific group. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. You're not going to reach them with Jingle Bell Rock.
Right.
I mean, so the studio album was a 15-year journey to get there. And then a couple more years to bring it to the stage. Then another year of working on that for the live album, while at the same time getting ready for an even bigger show at the Grand Ole Opry. I hesitate to ask, but I got to know what's next for Tommee Profitt.
That's a good question. I'm almost not going to know what to do with myself after The Birth of a King is complete, right? Like now after this year, like I have a lot of ideas. I make a lot of cinematic projects and music for, TV shows and movies. And, that's a fun thing I do throughout the year. And so I haven't been able to do that for a while. So I think next year I'm going to focus on just doing some creative, fun projects. You know what I mean? Try to give myself a little bit more of a lighter break in a sense of something that was so much work, so focused. It has a deadline, because Christmas happens every year with or without us. Like it's going
Right.
to happen, right? And so if we miss the deadline, it's still happening for everyone else. So now that it's kind of finished and wrapped up, like I'm just going to enjoy being with family at Christmas, and then next year just kind of do some fun projects to recover.
What's the best way for people to keep up with you? Is it through your website, social media?
Yeah, social media. It's all the same. All my social media is my name, Tommee Profitt. And, my name is spelled a little different. Tommee is Tommee instead of a Y. So if you type Tommee Profitt, 2 M's, 2 E's, 1 F, and 2 T's, you'll find me.
Okay. I'll link to your website, and I think all the links for your social media and your other places on the internet, I think all of that is on your website. So I'll put that down in the show notes as well. Before we wrap it up, anything else that you can think of that we haven't mentioned that you would want people to know about the birth of a king?
Man, I think we covered it. I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you checking it out and sharing about it. I would love for people to, this is like, 18-year thing. It's like I put everything into one project. This will probably be my like favorite thing I ever do. So anyone that goes and listens or even watches, on YouTube, like that just means the world to me. Any views and streams of it just means a lot. So appreciate it a lot.
Well, thanks so much for taking some time to share the story behind this. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people who are going to enjoy listening to this coming season and for lots of Christmases to come.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening and for continuing to support the Sounds of Christmas station and podcast. I told you how to listen to the station, and you're already listening to the podcast, so my work here is just about done. All of our episodes are available on the Sounds of Christmas website. Just click the podcast tab. And we also have a Linktree page with most, if not all, of the streaming sites that have our podcast available. So you can find your favorite, and then you can connect and subscribe, and then you'll never miss another episode. If you have comments or suggestions on this episode, previous episodes, or the Sounds of Christmas station, feel free to reach out to me on social media or through the website. Thanks again. And may you always believe in Santa Claus.